Breaking news out of Syria. Airstrikes are underway at this hour over Damascus. Some missiles have reportedly been intercepted. Loud explosions have also been heard in Aleppo near the international airport. Claims that Iranian warehouses near the airport of Aleppo have been hit. A Syrian military source is blaming Israel for the airstrikes. So for more details, our senior correspondent Owen Alterman is in studio. Owen, another attack underway in Syria, fingers being pointed at Israel. What details are known at this hour?
Right, another set of attacks. As you mentioned over the last few hours, attacks on sites around Damascus, and maybe interestingly enough, near the international airport in Aleppo, where Israel has not struck for a number of years, or there haven't been strikes, we should say, for a number of years. Why do these potentially fit the pattern of the reported Israeli airstrikes over the course of the past number of years? Well, because they're close to transportation arteries and transportation hubs, right? Like an international airport, Israel trying to target weapons shipments to Hezbollah in Lebanon, advanced weaponry that could tip the balance strategically between Israel and its foe across the Lebanese border. And again, we see that tonight in airstrikes on or near the Aleppo International Airport, these targets near Damascus, presumably targeting transportation arteries, presumably because those transportation arteries are being used to ferry weapons to Hezbollah in Lebanon.
Now, this is a developing situation. Israel won't be commenting. It doesn't usually in situations like this. But there has been in the past this understanding with Russia when it comes to almost turning a blind eye to Israeli activity or alleged Israeli activity. That understanding is a little bit more murky right now.
Right. Obviously, there have been questions about it over the last few months, given tensions surrounding the war in Ukraine and Israeli policy toward it. We've seen that borne out in Israel's relations with Russia in other ways as well, including the steps taken against the quasi-governmental Jewish agency, its activities in Russia. Benito, what's interesting enough is to see a strike like this happen, fittingly, coincidentally, uncoincidentally, on the same day as we see the Russian-Iranian foreign ministers meeting in Moscow during the same week, when we see Russia receiving deliveries of Iranian drones for Russia to use in the war in Ukraine. These are attacks that are being carried out by Israel, reportedly or presumably, right, through an arrangement with Russia. And who are those attacks targeting? Iran and Iranian proxies. And again, it shows the complexity of relations between Russia and Iran. Often they have been allies, but at points they have been rivals. And in Syria, you see both of those at play. On one hand, both of them supporting the government of Syrian President Bashar Assad. On the other hand, the two countries in a contest for hegemony or suzerainty, if you will, in Syria, for being able to call the shots on the ground. The Russians maybe not liking it that the Iranians have a presence in Syria that gets built up, and maybe not unhappy to see a military such as Israel's, again, according to what we can presume and according to what's been reported in the past, see a military like Israel's take aim at those Iranian proxies and at those Iranian targets. It may well serve Russian interests. At the same time, and on the same day that the two foreign ministers are shaking hands in Moscow, sending a signal internationally that they're working together, Russia getting Iranian weapons in Syria, working together in terms of supporting the Assad government. But at the same time, there are places where their interests clash, and you see it borne out in an event like this one.